So we've just got a few slides for you today. Just going to outline some of the work that we've been considering and we've been involved with very recently on financial security. But before we do that, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Institute for Security Science and Technology, of which I'm the Deputy Director. And Dr. PJ Beaghton is with us today as well. PJ is actually the person who's been really helping us to build out our understanding of what research might look like in financial security. So he'll take the second half of the presentation. Okay, so the Institute for Security Science and Technology is actually one of Imperial's 6 global challenge institutes. So these are institutes that have been set up to look at problems that have big sort of societal impacts or problems that are very important for society, but importantly they involve solving these problems, involve bringing together research components from all manner of different faculties and disciplines, and also engaging with industry and academia and other partners. And the Institute for Security Science in particular, we see ourselves as a sort of convening centre for industry, academia and government in helping to solve some of the problems in security that face society today. And our strategic goals are outlined there. I mean, we seek to be thought leaders and to influence policy in the security space. We seek to be research leaders and actually execute research on problems that are important for the day. And in doing that, we also aim to sort of coordinate activities across the college, so across faculties and across departments. And very importantly, we seek to go out in the world to events such as this and engage with industry, engage with academia and other partners outside of the university and with other universities as well, to try and create effective collaboration so we can actually try and solve some of these problems. Because we recognize that by working in silos, these problems are just not going to get cracked. And security is one of these very multifaceted problems, which I'm sure most of you know about just by looking at the news, at some of the coverage on security problems that exist almost on a daily basis. The program of research that we currently have involves several verticals, if you like. We have a very significant kind of activity in cybersecurity, and for most people cybersecurity means kind of IT security, protection of data, encryption, the movement of information, that kind of stuff. And we're very strong on that, but recently over the last few years we've been concentrating on cyber physical systems as well. So this is the paradigm shift that we see in society where computing systems are now making physical changes in our daily lives. We're using them to do things like change the temperature in our houses, start up our cars, but also the physical systems, the detectors, the Internet of Things, those sort of things are actually then influencing the way compute is working as well. So there's this interplay between the physical and the cyber world. And this is typified by the space of industrial control systems, where utilities, transport systems, this sort of stuff, really involve a very deep interplay between computers, people, and actual physical processes. CBRNE detection and threat reduction. CBRNE, for those who don't know, stands for chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosives. This is the kind of standard stuff that people think of, I suppose, when they think about security, the sort of bombs, guns, and knives type scenarios. We're involved in that, and we have research strands in that area too. Autonomous systems is a growing area of interest for us. We're involved in work just down the road here in Greenwich, looking at the driverless vehicles project and looking at the security implications of autonomy generally in our infrastructure. And we have some activities on data analytics, quite significant activities looking at social media analysis for all manner of different things, including trying to monitor disease propagation and outbreak, that sort of stuff. So recently, when we looked through all of this stuff about a year ago, I was very keen to think about how we might start looking at problems in the financial system. We heard with the previous speaker that there's a paradigm shift in the way financial services and systems actually operate. And so we really wanted to start up an activity in that area and also, as David said, exploit some of the horizontals that exist not only in our own program, but right across the college to bring to bear on the problems inside finance. So this is where we met PJ, and I'm going to probably hand over to you now, PJ, and you can take over the next couple of slides.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be part of Imperial College. People like Andrew, we attract such talent here, and then there's great synergies across different institutes, departments. I've only joined in this role in spring, and so much breadth and depth in, across areas. Now, where I think we add value at the Institute is our relationship with government and law enforcement agencies. And there's a lot of technology that exists out there and people are willing to talk about, and there's a lot of and problems that they want to solve, but there's also a percentage of these problems that that exist out there that people don't want to talk about, and they're whether it's the police or intelligence services or the compliance side of banks, and or the nightmares that sometimes principals of hedge fund management firms have about what would happen if their trading infrastructure were compromised. All those things are not really out there in the public domain, and that's where all this parts here, our strong relationships, as I said, with the law enforcement and government agencies, leveraging the all the other resources and institutes and departments in the college, the very strong expertise in all the other areas of cyber and cyber physical, and then bringing in the financial market and electronic trading know-how, which is quite key, especially in a place like London, which it's Imperial College London. I mean, the London part, I think, should also be stressed, because if you look at what the SEC does to police and the U.S. market, they're very much a U.S. equity market sort of regulator. In London, we're the world's international center, and we see so many different markets being traded and asset classes out of London. And I think there isn't a single regulatory body that actually looks at all of those markets. So with that in mind, the three main projects that we're looking at the moment are the first one. Money laundering is a very, very big problem. 8 billion estimated to be pounds to be laundered through the City of London every year. A growing percentage of that is now not using just cash transfers, or it involves ever more sophisticated financial transactions, as in financial product transactions. So typically listed instruments like futures and stocks, because you have the exchange sitting in the middle. So party A wants to move money to party B. They have the exchange as in the middle. They trade with the exchange, and then party B trades with the exchange as well. So for us, being able to bring in the know-how that we have from the cybersecurity side of our expertise, and being able to make the haystack smaller or the needle bigger, and being able to identify it, this is where having a set of rules that govern that we already know that are being used by, for instance, money launderers or tax evaders or insider traders to move money from A to B. Bringing those things together is one of the ways I think Andre kind of referred to in a similar fashion, where technology and financial know-how can give very good results. Now, being an institute, we don't have our own students in terms of masters or PhD students like departments have, but we are again grateful to the imperial infrastructure and the way it's set up. We supervise students from departments, other departments. So we've just done master's project on the night capital trading era, where 450 million was lost in 45 minutes in 2012. And why is that important? It's the type of, again, people don't talk about it, but it's again the nightmare of a lot of people looking at the risk of financial institutions. In this particular case, 1 server out of 8 sent out, they upgraded servers over a weekend. 7 out of the 8 servers were updated. The software update was fine. 1 wasn't. Sent out 4 million rogue orders, $450 million dollars later, and 45 minutes later, they didn't know what was happening. So we've already have built a prototype to detect and intercept rogue orders. It's obviously very specific to individual financial institutions and the type of orders that they generate, but the principle behind it is very much the same. And finally, the last part touches both physical and cyber vulnerabilities of hedge funds and other trading institutions, which have what I call very large trading power per capita. So you can imagine 3 or 4 partners in a hedge fund sitting next to each other. They can probably send billions of dollars of orders in the market with the push of a button. More difficult in a bank where there's more traders and the risk limit per trader is lower. And I have personal experience with this. I used to run a hedge fund. So the being able to work with institutions such as the hedge funds and so on, and identify their vulnerabilities is something that I know that our partners on the law enforcement side and on the financial institution side very, very interested in. Obviously, not something we talk about in the open, but that's.
Thank you,
Thanks.
PJ.